What's up, everybody? Joe White here, and I gotta let you guys in on something. I'm a huge fan of Stevie Richards. I love his work. I loved when he did Right to Censor. My thing with Right to Censor, and he's pretty much said this as, "Oh, they wanted me to cut my hair and do this gimmick, so damn right I'm going to cut my hair and do the gimmick. I need to make a paycheck." And I had a place on the card for many years because of that gimmick. But Stevie Richards, really big tech guy, loves computers and technology. He's the first wrestling YouTuber that I've seen introduce a smart board into his YouTube channel. I love his What Went Wrong series. Shout out to Stevie Richards. Um, and shout out to his co host, too, that British guy from WSI. He's one of the few Brits that I could tolerate when it comes to pro wrestling. He's one of the very few British people that I can tolerate. So shout out to that guy. Um, they were talking a few months back, and this now just came across my feed a little while ago about Dave Meltzer and his rating scale, his star system. And they were talking about how many wrestlers have not gotten 5-star matches who deserved it, Kurt Angle being the most obvious one. And Dave Meltzer was questioned about this a few months back, and he goes, "Well, Kurt has had many 4.5-star matches, and that's just as good as a 5." No, it's not, Dave. No. If 4.5 was just as good as 5, your scale would stop at 4.5. Dumbass. Anyway, Stevie was talking about the rating system itself and specifically wrestlers yearning for this approval. You should not yearn for this man's approval. You should not yearn for my approval. I may tell you your match sucks or your match, the storyline sucks or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, you're doing what your promoter tells you to do for the most part. Now, Stevie was talking about how, one point I did not clip the audio for this, but he goes, "Do you get paid any extra for having a 5-star match?" Does the promoter? He goes, "I'm sure now maybe Tony Khan will throw you some extra money if Dave gives you a 5 stars," which his star ratings typically don't come out until like a week after the pay-per-views. Because Dave has to sit there with his pencil and his pen and his stopwatch and pass through the matches frame by frame by frame while he pulls. Well, I ain't gonna say what I'm really thinking, but anyway, I'll let you use your imagination as to what he's really doing while he's watching these matches. But anyway, so you don't get paid anything extra, and I would love to know from wrestlers, what do you get out of this guy? What do you get if this guy tells you that you've had a 5-star match? You don't care about what. There are wrestlers out there that do not care about what me and all of the rest of the internet do or care or say, but they care about what Meltzer says. There were wrestlers, I will say this, and this is no disrespect to Bruce Mitchell, but Bruce Mitchell used to go to CWF Mid Atlantic shows all the time. And there were wrestlers who would immediately run up to him after the show asking this guy for advice. And I'm like, no disrespect to Bruce, but Bruce is not a wrestler. Bruce is not a worker. Bruce is technically not in the business. He writes about the business. But, I've had wrestlers ask me, "What did you think of my match?" And I'm like, "It was good. It was good." Or, "Hey, it was bad." I'm not going to sit there and break down and go, "What you should have done here, and you were off on your timing, and this should have been that, and that's." No. I'll give you my opinion whether I thought the match was good or not, but at the end of the day, my opinion means diddly squat to you. But apparently, according to Stevie Richards, he had this to say about certain wrestlers in the AEW locker room. Take a listen.
These 5-star match things, and I know I've heard in AEW locker rooms, they're like, what did Meltzer give you? What did he give you for a right? It doesn't matter. Punk, Punk famously said during a recent interview, I might get the quote wrong, but I'm paraphrasing. He goes, I would rather be in a full building drawing money and get like, not a 5-star match, or do you want a 5-star match in a building that's a quarter full?
Now, I don't have any quote unquote sources in an AEW locker room, but if you or any other wrestler are sitting around the locker room going, "What did Meltzer give you? What did Meltzer give you last week? What did Meltzer give you this week?" Then you're stupid. Why do you care so much about what this damn boomer's approval is? This man who, instead of, he has no organization whatsoever. I'm going to use the picture of him in his office as the thumbnail for this video and as the graphic for the video. Here's the most disorganized human being I've ever seen in my life who still relies on papers for his ratings reports. He prints them out when he's doing a podcast and can easily just have a tab open with a spreadsheet. This is a man who has lost the plot a long time ago. A long time ago. This is a man who will tell you, he'll tell you guys whether you've had a 5-star match or not. And some of you lap it up. But he won't go tell your booker who he has access to in AEW and Tony Khan. He won't go call up Tony Khan and go, "What are you doing? Your booking is the shits. Here's 20 ways you can improve your TV show and boost your ratings right now." He won't do that. He'll tell you whether you've had a 5-star match or not. But he won't come out and say that booking is terrible and that the man booking it don't know shit from Shinola about it. Let that sink into you guys. You awesome men and women who've taken the time to go to wrestling school, bust your ass, learn to bump, learn to work, learn to do this and make it look real. You've taken the time, the money. I know the going rate for wrestling school, and this was like even in the mid '90s, was $3,000. It's probably more than that now. Think about it. Think about it out there. Guys like Ricochet, guys like lovely Miss Larkin, who's one of the hottest women on the indie scene right now, who's awesome, does great work at promoting herself and her character. Um, Vanessa Holiday is another female worker. I will sit there and tell you that Kane Justice, um, anybody, anybody out there, Trevor Lee, anybody, you've busted your ass to learn this craft, and you care. At the end of the day, people care about what this guy has to say, but he won't have the balls to call out what the real problem is. How does that make you feel? How does it make you? It's like if I was to work at a McDonald's, okay, and if I was to work at a McDonald's and the fryer oil is black and disgusting and the french fries come out just ruined every single time, they taste like old fryer oil, but my boss tells me don't change the fryer oil. Now I have to do as a lowly employee, I'm not saying wrestlers are lowly employees, but as a guy who works at McDonald's, I have to do what the manager tells me to do. And the manager's Tony Khan, and he's saying, don't change that fryer oil. Don't change the fryer oil. So I keep doing what I'm doing what the boss tells me to do. And a customer walks in. And I tell the customer, look, I would love to change the fryer oil for you and give you some fresh grease, give you some nice, hot, fresh fries. But I'm going to point whether it gets me fired or not, I'm going to point my finger at the boss and go, that guy won't let me change the fryer oil. Because for some reason, he just doesn't want it changed. Now, me as a customer, if I ran into that situation, my focus immediately would shift from me behind the counter to my boss. And I'd be going, hey, why won't you let them change the fryer oil? Why won't you do it, dude? We want hot, fresh French fries. Why won't you let them change the fryer oil? But Dave doesn't do that. Dave continues to chastise you, the independent contractors, the dare say employees. He rates you. He doesn't rate the booking. He refuses to. He did it all the time in WWE and still continues to. But he won't do it for AEW. So, if there are any AEW wrestlers out there listening to this, stop caring what Meltzer thinks. Stop putting any weight to it. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you will, please, and we'll see you down the road.